If you want to go ahead and perfect. Um, so as folks join, this is a pretty loosely scheduled call, but just an opportunity to continue to build off of the Washington State Farmers Market Association. So we just want to thank you for being here. If you can remain muted, please utilize the chat. Keep an eye on the chat. We may be dropping some questions in there. And there will be time for Q&A with specific guests. But just want to say thank you for everyone being here today. And we are, Ariel, can you advance slide? Thank you. So the Idaho State Day is brought to you by the Idaho Farmers Market Association, and it's in partnership with the Washington State Farmers Market Association's boot camp. So I believe this is the second or third year now that they basically have opened up boot camp to not just farmers markets in the state of Washington, but really all throughout the Western US and beyond. In fact, the Ohio Farmers Market Network has been in attendance and it continues to gain momentum and magnitude every year. So we were on the call last week with folks from Utah and Alaska and Oregon. So the world of farmers markets is very well supported, but these are just some of our partners when it comes to the state of Idaho that we work with on a regular basis. And we'll be able to meet some of those folks today and hopefully make some connections for any of you who are involved with farmers markets or are adjacent to farmers markets. So brief overview of the agenda. We will have the Idaho State Tax Commission here today discussing some resources and what you're responsible to do as an event promoter. And then we also have Idaho Preferred and Fair Idaho representatives here today. We will have a small break at about 10:45. It's going to be about, or sorry, most of you are on Mountain Time, 11:45 Mountain Time. It will be about a 15-minute break, so please be prompt with that, but do feel free if you need to step away. You can turn off your camera if you need to take a bathroom break, refill coffee, but there will be a designated built-in break. We are going to go over SNAP and EBT and double up food bucks. I believe I saw Christina here as part of the Idaho Hunger Relief Task Force. We'll be covering some of that, I believe. And then we will have updates on the specialty crop block grant that the IFMA has received and what that means for member markets. And then we'll have a brief closing. So this is really just Idaho specific. So if you attended the WSFMA boot camp, that was a broader overview. And now we're here to kind of talk about some other things. As far as the Idaho Farmers Market Association goes, we are a statewide member-based association. So we're here to help farmers markets in Idaho thrive. So if we don't know the answers, we will find the answers for you or put you in touch with people that do know them. I am the secretary of the IFMA. We also have Melanie, board president, on the call. Ariel is a treasurer and U of I extension. She's also a board advisor. And then we have Melissa Napton here with the Kuski Farmers Market. And we also have our two board advisors who are also presenters today, Katie and Dawn as well. So we have our missions and our goals. I'm not going to read them off the screen. Again, this will be recorded. So if you want to go more into depth, or you can visit our website at idahofma.org and go ahead. Thanks, Ariel. Benefits of membership. So when you become a member with the IFMA, that means that you are listed on our website. You receive SNAP and double up food bucks support. That includes marketing, that includes helping with funding of your program. We also make sure that you get listed in the Idaho Preferred directory. And so it really is just paying into the IFMA is really helping connect you to other farmers markets and those statewide organizations that you need to be connected with to make your market run successfully. And if you haven't joined yet or renewed your membership, you can do so. And then we just want to thank you for attending. So without further ado, it is a small group here today, so we probably won't be going into the breakout rooms like we had initially intended. But if Ariel, you could maybe drop in the chat what folks are, what size your market is, or if you're not a market manager, what your closest farmers market is. So if you're a market manager or board member, like what's the size of your market? That's based on your vendors. And then if you are on the call and maybe not in a manager or board member position with a market, list your closest farmers market. And if you don't know, put your location in and we might be able to connect you with your farmers market that's closest nearby.
And Amanda, do you want me to put the questions that we were going to ask in the chat?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Nice. And I think with this size group, we probably could do some introductions if you want to.
Mary, what size is your farmers market? About how many vendors do you have?
You know, it varies. Of course, last year we had like 60 people sign up, but the most we had on, and it was only 2 days, we had 42 vendors, but that was only 2 days. Otherwise, it averages around 30. When the days are good, otherwise, then it's more like 10.
Since we do have a small group here, I know that we have a couple of farmers market managers. So I'm seeing we have Annie. Are you the newly hired Boise Farmers Market manager? And then Mary's with Emmett. Jen, are you affiliated with any farmers market? Oh yes, and Marcella is with the Idaho State Tax Commission. Okay, Jen, you're the newly hired Weiser Farmers Market Manager then? Is that correct? Yeah, okay. Great.
Welcome.
And then is that the Weiser Farmers Market? Is that about like considered a micro market or a small market? Are we looking at like under 25 vendors or more than 25 vendors? And then, okay, about 20. Great. So we've got a couple larger markets here, maybe some small, medium-sized markets. Mel, what's the average vendor attendance for the Gooding Farmers Market? Great. 25 to 2,390. Gotcha. I see that was probably a typo. Dawn, what's your closest farmers market? Is it the Boise Farmers Market?
Technically, I live in Nampa, so I try to hit the Nampa Farmers Market every week that I
So
can.
you
But
are
Boise,
the Nampa Farmers Market was rated in, I believe, was it the top 3, top 5
yes,
in the
I
nation?
believe it was. Yeah, I thought I'd heard from Bob that it was #1.
I think
Was
it
that
got
true?
#1 in the Pacific, in the Western Pacific
Oh,
region.
right. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
That's correct. in
Yeah.
Moscow. Yeah, we were up there with Moscow, which
I
was
know,
like,
we were
woo.
neck and neck for a while, and then they just blew us out of the water. So, all right. And then Christina, yours is also closest Boise Farmers Market. So a lot of folks are down in southern Idaho area. Um, a couple of things that we did want to just kind of cover today is what if this is, I think we have some first time season managers on here, but if you are a market manager, if you can just drop into the chat the number of seasons that you are managing the market, including your upcoming season, that would be great. Just so we can get a feel for folks. Oh my
And
gosh.
Amanda, I was able to make a poll with those 3 questions about what their folks would most like to learn this season.
Oh, great. Okay. Melissa, I didn't realize you're going into your 6th season. That's really exciting. Annie, your 2nd season. Great. Wonderful. Jen, 2nd season. And Ariel's got a poll up here. So, what is a topic that is most of interest to you this season? Even if you're not a market manager, please just feel free to answer this poll. I think we can all kind of learn a little bit from each other. And then this will just help the IFMA and our board advisors really kind of hone in for the remainder of the year to help farmers markets focus on their operations. Okay.
So I've got a few more of you still need to vote. If you can see it.
Okay, we're going to close that out at a minute. Great, thanks, Ariel.
All right, and now I can share the results. Can you see it?
Ah, I can.
Okay.
Great. So customer engagement's a really big one, and then followed, closely by market operations and vendor management. Are any of our market managers also vendors at their market? I know sometimes that for smaller markets that can be the case. Melissa, I'm wondering if that would be the case for you. Yeah, you're a vendor at your market and a manager. And Mel, oh my gosh, I don't know how you two do it. I couldn't. Okay, great.
All right.
Since this
I've
is
got one more question that I'm going to put in the chat.
great. So that one question that Ariel put in is, what is the one thing that everyone wants to learn today? Was just that one takeaway. Even if we don't address it today, we want to know so we can get you connected with those resources after this call.
These are really good answers. Or questions, I guess. Questions for which we would like to have answers.
Okay. Awesome. Well, since we are ahead of schedule, which is always unheard of in these types of calls, I would love to have the other board members and board advisors maybe just give their 1 minute, 2 minute elevator speech pitch. Maybe I'll just start with Mel, and as you guys appear on my screen, we'll move around.
So I'm Mel Gallup. I've been part of the farmers market scene since 2004 when I started my homemade soap business. And then I got into beef and raw milk, and that's where I run 2 businesses plus the farmers market all on a Tuesday. So gets a little chaotic at times, but that's my 2 cents. I did start managing the Gooding Market in 2019, and we went from 4 vendors, and last year I served 45 vendors. So anyway, that's where we're at.
Thank you, Mel. I realized I didn't do a great introduction of myself. My name is Amanda Argona. I am the community events manager for the city of Moscow. We manage the Moscow Farmers Market up here. So we are a government-run farmers market. And I'm going into my 5th year in this position. I've been involved with the market for 7 years as a couple terms as an AmeriCorps member. We have a vendor roster of almost 140 vendors, probably likely to expand, but we can only accommodate about 80 to 90 folks in our peak season with spaces. And I've been on the IFMA now for several years. So Ariel?
Sure. So I think I've met most of you, with the exception of Jen and Sela. My name is Ariel Agenbrod, and I'm with University of Idaho Extension. I'm an area educator in community food systems and small farms. And through my work, I've been involved with the Farmers Market Association since its beginning, when it was a project of the Idaho Hunger Relief Task Force, and it was managed or directed by a succession of Vista volunteers and AmeriCorps volunteers. And I was just thinking back to all of those volunteers and where they are now working in the food system or the environmental world. And it's really neat. So I've been a board advisor for all that time, and then most recently took on the role of board treasurer because nobody else wanted to do it. And but it has been a great learning experience for me because it's really plunging me deep into the association, how it works, how it could work better, how we can continue to support all of our farmers markets. I am absolutely devoted to farmers markets, support them in a number of different ways, from doing rapid market assessments to helping troubleshoot, even co-hosted a pop-up market in Payette 2 years ago and got to be market manager for one day. And man, you guys work your tails off for sure. So very excited to see some familiar and new faces here, and to share kind of some of the exciting things that are happening around the state and some of the resources that we have to help hopefully make your jobs easier and more fulfilling.
Thank you, Ariel. Katie?
Hi there, everyone. My name's Katie Baker. I run the organization FAIR Idaho, and I know I'll be talking later, but FAIR is an acronym. It stands for Food, Agriculture, Restaurants, and Establishments. We're a nonprofit membership-based trade association that's really structured around the food system. So it's uniquely structured, but it's been really rewarding. And I think the Farmers Market Association was, when I first started this job, when we were born out of the pandemic, I reached out immediately and asked how I could get involved, because FAIR represents farmers, ranchers, food and beverage producers, livestock processors, independent restaurants, bars, retailers, and the retailers really also being farmers markets and independent grocers. So I was just, with our work and how we advocate and try to work together as a collective, we realize that farmers markets are really integral to the food system. So I'm excited to be here today.
Thanks, Katie. And we'll go down. Melissa's right below Katie on my screen.
Hello, I'm Melissa Napton, the manager and a vendor at my market, Kuski in Kuski. We have a small market. It's anywhere from 10 to 28 vendors. We also hold a holiday market. I'm also on the board of IFMA, and Amanda is the one that introduced me to that. And I'm just always trying to learn and make our market better and help our surrounding artisans and farmers get their products out there.
Thanks, Melissa. If anyone signed up for the Idaho Preferred newsletter, you may have seen the like little gift boxes that were being sent out, and Melissa got some of her products in there with the microgreens. She's got fun little videos that she puts on social media if you're on there. 10 Bluebird Acres. So we will move on down the line to Dawn. Sorry, Dawn. It said Idaho Preferred, so I almost called you that name. But go.
No worries. So I am Dawn Larzalaire. I am a marketing specialist with the Idaho State Department of Agriculture and the Idaho Preferred Program. And the Idaho Preferred Program is, we're celebrating our 20th year this year of connecting agricultural producers with consumers throughout the state. And Idaho Preferred is all about, our mantra is live, eat local. So we have 4 main pillars, and I'll go into this later, but 4 main pillars of our organization include retail. We have the producers, the retail, and farmers markets are part of that. Schools and supporting organizations. And we essentially exist to help promote farmers, ranchers, food crafters throughout the state of Idaho so that they can grow their marketplace. And we see farmers markets as an integral piece of the whole food system, the food distribution system and production system. So anyway, we are here to help promote and market farmers markets throughout the state. And we have a lot of great programs to help do that. And we'll get into that later. So.
Thanks, Dawn. And Andrea is our last person.
Oh, hello. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, awesome. Sorry, my voice is a little rough. I've been sick lately, but yeah, my name is Andrea Gooding and I run Red Top Market, which is in Wilder. And we're kind of like a different type of farmers market. So we actually have a storefront rather than kind of out in the open with different vendors. And we supply a variety of local things between meat and dairy products to, fruits and vegetables and other non-perishable goods, maybe like jewelry or, car freshies. So, I mean, our big thing is to keep it local, and we really strive to help support and source from our local farmers because we have the availability to do so. And so that's kind of been our mission. And we do an annual or a weekly event during the summer. And part of that brings the community together each week. And so we're kind of starting to say where country meets culture is kind of Red Top Market. But yeah, this is coming on our 4th season, and it's been a great time, been a blast. I mean, I'm always learning stuff. And so that's kind of a little bit of my background. And this is my coming on 2nd year with Idaho Farmers Market Association. So it's been great.
Thanks, Andrea. No, that's perfect. And if people didn't catch, Mel is with the Gooding Farmers Market, and Andrea Gooding is with the Red Top Market.
Yeah.
That confused me for a really long time. But we are going to try and stay on schedule to make sure that if folks have questions, that we're getting to them. But I know that TJ and Marcella are on here from the Idaho State Tax Commission. Here to just share resources with you. And I'm going to turn it over to TJ. And if we have any technical issues, Ariel will be there to jump on and help out. So.
All right. So TJ, do you have slides that you want to present on your end?
Yes, good morning, TJ, Idaho State Tax Commission, and I primarily have the videos that are on YouTube. So can we do screen sharing?
You absolutely can. Just when you share your screen, make sure that you click share sound. Otherwise, video doesn't come through.
Okay, so I see a green share screen.
Mhm.
So I left click that and there should be a sound option, I would hope.
Just click it all together and then you'll pick the screen from your screens. And then at the bottom of the next window, you see there will be a button that says share sound and also optimized for video. You could click both of those.
Oh, this one. Yeah, let's go there. Okay. Give me a sec to get to the right window and we'll share that. So it's Firefox and this one. So this is a video. Are you able to see the video?
Not yet. Did you click on it?
Not yet, we will. Just a
Okay.
second.
Okay.
You'll have to actually click on it and then we should be able to see it.
Okay. So we'll just hopefully
Here we
view the
go.
video and then just talk about it afterwards and kind of sum up some extra things that might have been missing, but it's mostly all there. As far as the instructions for promoters, event promoters, and how to register your event using the event ID and just distributing that to your event participants. That's just the first step of 2. The second thing is just that you'll need to respond to us a day before the market starts with all those who have not responded by their name or contact information and send that back to our email. And that's all you have to do as the event promoter. Just a 2-step process. So let's start the video if we can.
How do we share that? Make sure we're sharing the sound again.
So when you were selected that window as the one to share, there would have been a little checkbox on the bottom left hand of your screen that says share sound. So you might want to stop sharing and reshare and make sure that you click that little button. I'm not sure why it has that extra step, but it is there.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So here we go.
Organizing an event where people are buying and selling stuff, and this video is for you.
We good?
Hi, I'm TJ with the Idaho State Tax Commission. Promoters, I'm going to be walking you through how to set up your event. Promoters, are you organizing an event with 2 or more vendors? Then you'll need to register your event. Examples include farmers markets, bazaars, expos, and craft fairs. And how do you register? Go to tax.idaho.gov/go-to-tap. Scroll down below the login and go to the sellers and promoters box. And here click register as a temporary seller or promoter. On this screen, you'll see more information about each of the participant types. For more information on each one, click here. Scroll to the bottom and choose event promoter and then click next. So enter your event information here. Select your event dates. If your event is longer than 90 days, you'll have to split them up into 2 or more separate event registrations with 2 or more event IDs. So why is this now happening? It's because the 90-day rule is now being enforced for all new event registrations. The rule states no temporary seller's permit will be issued for a period of time greater than 90 days. And in the address field, make sure you're selecting the address of the event location. Once your event information is entered, go ahead and click Next. On this screen, you'll enter your business or personal information. Next, select your ID type, your EIN or Federal Employer ID number, your ITIN if you happen to have one, or your Social Security number. Go ahead and double check the accuracy of your email and then click Next. Go ahead and review your information. If you need to make any edits, go ahead and click on Previous. And when everything looks good, click Submit. On this screen, you'll get a confirmation number, but it's not the same as your event ID. You'll get that event ID emailed to you. In 20 minutes or less, you'll get an email sent to you. And if it's not in your inbox, go ahead and check your spam folder or junk mail folder. The email you'll receive includes the event ID number and the start and end dates. Please pay special attention to the dates if you had to create more than one event ID. Below, you'll find instructions to forward on to your vendors so they can register for the event. While your participants are registering, there's been a lot of confusion about what to do on step number 6. The first option is I'm not making taxable sales, and there are some examples listed below. If a business already has a seller's permit, they'll select I have a regular permit, and they should not request a temporary permit on this screen. And just to clear up any confusion, if you require a document upload, allow them to upload a copy of their regular sales and use permit. And for those who don't have a regular sales and use permit, they'll go ahead and select I need a temporary permit. As the event promoter, you'll get an emailed list like this of the registered participants 10 days, 5 days, and 1 day before the start of your event. If any participants are not on the list on the last email, please email us at sas@tax.idaho.gov with their first and last name, business name, and contact information. And the next step is to have a great event. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out.
Okay, are we back?
We are back. Thank you so much, TJ. If you could, either you or Marcella, maybe drop that YouTube link into the chat, that would be great for these folks to copy and paste for later. We do have a question, but I also just want to maybe allow the both of you to either expand on certain things more, or we can just jump right into questions, whatever works for the two of you.
Yeah, I've got a couple of just things to reinforce as far as that one last one were to make sure that they declare the right way. And I know a lot of vendors come to me and say, oh, well, the promoter told me to click, I need a temp permit, even though I have a regular permit. And then that sets up a ball we don't want rolling. We're expecting a temp permit, but they
Uh-oh, you froze up there, TJ.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to get TJ back soon.
No.
Marcella, is there anything that maybe you want to expand on?
Nothing much. I just know that I just sent you out the link. I'm currently not working from the office. So if you can post it for me, I sent it to you by email. And we just try to encourage online filing, online registration, because it's a lot quicker for our sellers to report. We still have those that come in with paper forms, but that's fine. It's just that sometimes we have to put into consideration the mail, and some would receive notices that they still have not filed after they had registered, especially when we have the promoters list of participants. And so just to avoid that, they could open up their account through the state website and just file through there.
All right, I just posted those links. It looks like TJ's coming back on.
Okay. Mel, you have your hand raised. You're still muted there.
Yeah, I just had a question because not my market, but another market that I frequent, they said that they no longer have to do the events and register, that it's completely up to the vendors to do that responsibility. I just wanted you guys' input on that. And you know, she said something about rules had changed and the government helped us out, but I was like, okay, I need to hear it from the tax commission one-on-one.
What was their question, Mel?
I was just trying to figure out if the rules had changed about the events for the farmers markets. I have a farmers market that I attend saying that we no longer have to register for the events. I have a regular sales permit, so everything falls under that. But I wanted to, you know, do my thing and say, okay, we're going to attend this event. Here's our tax ID. And she's like, we're not doing that anymore. So have the rules changed somehow for that?
No, like on the promoter's video that TJ just did, if you have a regular seller's permit and you're joining the event, you do have to register for it and then enter that you do not need a temporary seller's permit because you
Right.
have an active permit already. I'm
So
not sure.
if the
I can find
promoter,
more information for you about the promoter's end.
I was going to say, if the promoter is not registering the event, it doesn't fall back on the vendors for not registering, correct?
I will get back to you on that. I'm not familiar with that part of things. I have not heard of the promoters not registering their events.
Yeah, Mel, I would say that if you are trying to be above board with your business and that event is not registering with the Idaho State Tax Commission, I don't know if that's an event you want to be a part of. I guess that's something to consider as a vendor, or to reach out and to the Idaho State Tax Commission say, I'm selling at this event, but they haven't registered. What liability do I have as a business? Is what it sounds like to me, but I haven't heard of anything of any changes since this whole process has been
Okay.
enacted.
Well, and that's, it was new in her letter this year. And so I was like, okay, what's the new rule that, because usually she's right on top of that stuff. And yeah, so I just, throw them up.
But I will take a look into that for you, Mel. And
Okay.
I probably need, or you could send it to our tax email, that sas@tax.idaho.gov, which has just been posted, so that we can have that looked into for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say if anyone is a vendor that's also selling at a holiday market and the event promoter doesn't know about this, we're not here to rat people out, so to speak, but we are here to make sure that businesses are feeling protected and doing the things that they need to do as well. So definitely feel free to reach out to the tax commission. But that's been my understanding. Even as a government agency, the City of Moscow, I'm still registering the City of Moscow Farmers Market event with the State Tax Commission. Mary, I did see your question as far as procedure for vendors who want to show up for one day, but your market has been happening. We take like youth vendors throughout the season. So our biggest thing is, hey, register with the State Tax Commission, give us your confirmation number or confirmation email to show us that you've done the paperwork. And some people just come for one day and some come for the whole season. So it doesn't matter when they join you, as long as you're providing them with the correct event ID to register. Now, if they refuse to do their part, you can just provide their information to the tax commission. And that's what I kind of do with my vendors is I'm constantly hounding them. And then if by the end of an event time, I just send whoever hasn't registered to the tax commission. And I let those vendors know, like, your information has been forwarded. Does that answer your question, Mary? Okay, I see you nodding your head. Okay. Melissa, you're unmuted. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. So my problem is you can only sign up for 90 days. Excuse me. It's hard enough to get them to sign up to begin with for that 90 days. And then after 90 days, you're like, hey, guess what? You got to do this again. And yeah, that's the hard part, is getting them to do it again. I was wondering maybe we could, or I could maybe, I don't know how you do it, Amanda, but have set up 2 separate event numbers and say, give it to them all at once. Say this is for the first 90 days, this is for the second 90 days. Do you do that?
That's exactly what I do. And if anyone, I mean, most of our Idaho farmers markets are running, the bulk of them are running June through September. Some of us run May through October, and some of us are even beyond that. If you are the event promoter responsible for signing up with Idaho State Tax Commission, we just we register our event back to back, and then we provide the event ID and the dates that it's going to cover for a vendor. So what I tell vendors is, hey, if you're not joining until later in the season, just make sure that you're using the appropriate event ID. So your sales between, say, August 13th and October 28th are covered. So yeah, Melissa, I just provide the vendors with that information up front, and I just say, do it once and then do it twice. So I hear you. It is super frustrating to try and get vendors to do the work, and the more I think we can provide that information up front, the better. Although, you know, we can't solve all the problems. People always ask me, I have a regular seller's permit, do I still need to do this? The answer is yes. So it looks like we might have lost TJ indefinitely. But there are some links in here. These videos have been amazing resources that the Idaho State Tax Commission has put together. So please share them with your vendors. Some people are visual learners. And then it looks like TJ is back, hopefully for good. And then I'll turn it back over to TJ so he can maybe cover some things before he cut out.
You're muted.
TJ, you're still
muted,
you're
TJ.
still muted, TJ.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for your patience. So did Marcella fill you in on anything? I see Marcella's there in the chat. So welcome, Marcella. She's going to be the new temp permit lead starting next week. This is my last day with the temp permits after 4.5 years. I've been delighted to serve the state of Idaho in this fashion. And also Jeremiah Edwards is also our backup support. Yeah, it'll be Marcella moving forward. But the best contact for us is that distribution email sas@tax.idaho.gov. No idea what SAS means. You can make up your own thing. I was just a web email that was available at the time. So there it is. So yeah, so as far as clarifying the steps, just going on our website, going on to TAP, and then clicking on Event Promoter, and then going through the steps. And it's using your own email account. Back 2019 and before, you were going on to like a unique link on our website, but it's really just using your own email account, clicking the forward button, typing in your participants' email addresses, clicking send, and then let them do the rest. So they would need to go on and there's a second video of a participant registration, what they're supposed to do with that the event ID that you send them. They would just follow, and instead of clicking where you clicked Event Promoter, they would just go to the box that said seller with event ID and type in the event ID, and they get their permit emailed to them with the sales tax report at the bottom. So it's a twofold permit where it's one they can show at the event, and then they can file within 15 days after the event. So that's really up to the participant to do. You're not required to help them file or collect money or anything. It's up to them at that point. You've done your part with providing them with a temporary permit by means of doing that. And then have you all familiar with the online registration, or have anybody not done it?
Is there a show of hands of anyone that hasn't done the event registration? Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
TJ, we did have a question come up from Mel. She said that she was attending an event and the person organizing it said, oh, you don't need to register. Do you have any like best practices if vendors are attending events and they're not needing to register? Like is there liability on the vendor? Like how should they be reporting those sales? Or, should they be contacting the tax commission to say, hey, this event is operating without an event ID? Like what's the scope of responsibility?
Yes, that's be a great way of forwarding that. It's not to you, but to to directly to the tax commission, or certainly be in contact with the event promoter if they're refusing to provide the participant with an event ID or the paper form, which is definitely a plan B, kind of a last resort moving forward. But it's up to the event promoter to provide that. And if they don't provide that, or if they refuse to provide that, then certainly they can contact the tax commission, or they can go on to the website, and there's a third option where there's seller without event ID, and they can just create their own. That permit's also used for, like, say, fireworks stands or Christmas tree lots, where it's not really an event. It's just there's some sales to report for folks that don't have an ongoing quarterly or annual sales and use account. So they can go in and they can type their own event dates in. It's got to be 90 days or less. It still follows that, but they can just print it out, and same type of thing. They can print out that email with that permit and file for that organized event using that option on that same website.
Thank you, TJ.
Sure.
I know there were some questions from folks that, and I apologize, my building is being worked on, so you might hear some hammering in the background. There were some questions about, I'm a farmer's market. I manage a farmer's market. I'm an LLC, or I'm a nonprofit. TJ, do you have, I know you're more in the compliance realm for events, and Marcella, but do you have resources that folks can be directed towards as far as filing their own taxes to make sure that their sort of end of year, their market is in compliance as a business, as an entity?
I just don't see a difference between, as long as someone's at the event, whether they're an LLC or they're a sole proprietor or they're just networking. Everyone fits in the category of needing to register for the event. Are you referring to like an LLC that wants to get a regular sales and use account, or?
So sorry, yeah, let me clarify. I'm talking about like the market management structure. So like the actual, like, Boise Farmers Market is a nonprofit, the Burley Farmers Market is,
okay. Yeah, so really there's a lot of exemptions on the federal level for nonprofits, but it's a very small list of those who are exempt when they sell. But even promoters, if it's a not-for-profit event and they have the folks at their booths and selling, there's no difference whether nonprofit or not, if that makes sense.
Great. And then we do have a question in the chat is from Melissa, does the promoter need to keep track of how much money do you mean the vendors, Melissa, make? Yeah, does the promoter need to keep track of that? That's not anything. We're just responsible for getting them registered with the event.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and letting us know who has not registered for the event, as the video stated. Yeah.
Great. Are there any questions left for TJ or Marcella? I'm so sorry about the noise.
No worries.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank TJ. Has been great to work with. I worked with him all last season, and I know he's transitioning, so I'm looking forward to working with Marcella. Feel free to grab these links that are available in the chat, save them for your vendors for future reference. If there are further burning questions that you just don't feel comfortable asking in this setting or want to follow up with very specific, we'll make sure to get Marcella's contact information out to everyone on this call as well. And hopefully it sounds like we're all in compliance as far as what we're doing. Whether our vendors are in compliance is kind of a different story, but luckily there's not too much more we can do to push them. So thanks so much, TJ, Marcella. You're welcome to stay on, or if you, I'm sure you've got things that you need to do for your work day. So thanks everyone for
pack up my desk. Moving over to audit. So yeah. But yeah, thanks for doing all you do. Appreciate that, and we're trying to make it as not as burdensome as possible for you to just do your part, and then it's up to the vendors to do their part.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, you two. And so we'll be moving on down the line. We are ahead of schedule, which again, never happens in these types of settings. And so we're going to turn it over for an overview of what actually is Idaho Preferred and Fair Idaho and how they can help your farmers market and what resources are available to market managers. So we'll start with Dawn, and then we'll move over to Katie. And then there will be time for Q&A. So just pay attention, keep your questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll get to those at the end of their presentations.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dawn Larzalaire with the Idaho Preferred Program, the Idaho State Department of Agriculture. And as I'm setting up a screen share here, I just wanted to let you know that my counterpart, Erica White, is able to join us today. So I'm going to be giving the presentation. I wanted to give her just a split second or two to introduce herself. Erica, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. So
Okay,
thanks
go
everybody.
ahead and
I know.
introduce yourself. I'm going to set it up.
Yeah, I know that I personally know some of you guys, and I'm just excited to have the chance to, finally put some faces to name for some of you out there. I know Dawn, she's our farmers market liaison for our program. But I do lead the Idaho Preferred Program, and Dawn and I work very closely on all farmers market related marketing material together. So Dawn, I might interject a little bit in this presentation as we go, but I'll try to keep it to a minimum, just not to mess up the flow too much.
That looks great, Dawn.
Dawn, you're muted.
Talk at the same time. So we can kind of pivot here. I went ahead and entered the Idaho Preferred website link in the chat box so you guys can check that out. But Erica, we're gonna have to pivot. I can't talk and share at the same time. Can you talk and I will share the screen?
Sure, I will do my best. Yes.
We've done this before. We
Okay.
can do it. Okay.
Is it because you're showing sound? I don't. Okay.
Yes, I have some sound to share.
Oh, are we going to start off with the video? Is that why?
No, but the audio is part of the presentation. So.
Roger that. Roger that.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Bear with me.
Okay, so Idaho Preferred, we've really placed we feel like a really significant amount of energy this last year into starting to develop some great marketing resources and just doing a good job of being outwardly supporting all of the market managers and just providing tools to be able to give the market managers to use for promotion of the vendors. You want to click to the next one, Dawn? Okay, so as you guys hopefully know, our mission is really to promote, connect, and educate our Idaho producers. So that's the farmers, ranchers, food crafters, to really help grow their marketplace. And our farmers markets, we consider to be supporting organizations, partners in that effort. Okay, so currently, the program has 300, really it's much more than this, including what we would call our complementary supporting organization members. But on the producer side, we've got 350 plus members and it's growing. We have our exclusive program, it's really focused again on our agricultural connection throughout the state and trying to support our food system through our various outlets and supporting organizations. And so it's not just our farmers markets, but it's our retailers, it's our farm to school efforts, it's working with roadside stands, agritourism operators to really showcase our Idaho food, beverage, and ag products. So all items within the program that utilize that logo, our Idaho preferred logo, they have to, sorry, I get a little back and forth on this because we say it has to be at least 20% ag content by weight, but bearing in mind that most of our producers who are actively growing are at 100%, that 20% really comes into play when we're talking about crafted items. So if somebody's taking something that's agriculturally grown and then they're, putting it into a different type of product that might be sold at a retail location, then we want to see at least 20% of that come from. And each of our categories has different rules in mind that were set in play by the producers nearly 20 years ago. And every 5 years we revisit those to make sure that still falls in line with, what our producer community is looking at. So we have been, we've been in play now for 20 years. So this is our 20th anniversary. And, we've really created a strong local image with the Idaho preferred logo from a consumer perspective, but we're also so much B2B. So educational component in establishing farmers markets here in Idaho. We have developed through ISDA, establishing a farmers market in Idaho. Are you guys, can you raise your hand just because I'm not normally on these calls? Are you guys all familiar with this manual? Yes, mostly. Dawn, can you drop in the link where that is located when you have a second? You don't have to do it at this moment, but just so everybody can understand where they can identify this resource to be able to share it. Oh, good. I'm so glad to see that, Ariel. Wonderful. Oh, you have it on the IFMA page too. Perfect. All right. So annually, we've started to create these directories, and these are all encompassing. We do have the brochure that I hope everybody gets, as many copies as they really need. If you guys are needing more, please let us know so that we're able to scope in that need as we continue our financial efforts to be able to fund those. But so one of our favorite things about this directory is that we've started to implement the QR code, and we've rolled out our farmers market search engine on the website. I know, Dawn, you're finalizing this actively, and I know that you have sent out, I believe, several emails on it, but just ensuring that everybody's information is correctly placed on there is so important. And then if you guys hear of any new farmers markets popping up, we want to make sure we get them on there. We tried so hard to do our outreach to make sure that we're getting them on there, but sometimes it's word of mouth in terms of these farmers markets getting started. So we just need the aid in finding them sometimes. We are wrapping up our info gathering, and is our goal to print this within the next 2 weeks? Yes. Have you guys all taken a chance to look at our online farmers market directory that it's broken down regionally? We added a feature in there where it's actually even searchable by day. We thought that that was a fantastic addition to be able to identify farmers markets throughout the state. So we launched this in August, and just since August of last year, it's been 14,000 unique clicks. One thing that we're taking into this next farmers market season is we're actually going to give this resource a banner spot on our homepage. So it's just the quick click resource. They don't have to go to the find local page and then scroll down and identify where the farmers market link is. We feel that our farmers markets receive so much traction, and it's kind of an agritourism space as well. We want consumers to be able to easily find them. Okay, website. So individual farmers market profile pages. We've tried to really place a great deal of effort in identifying how we can give each individual farmers market representation, and also the vendors that are a part of those markets. So We are actively filling out all the farmers market pages. We encourage each farmers market to go on and help us really curate the story of the farmers market. So you're going to see in the left-hand corner, you're going to have the farmer market logo. On the right-hand side, it's really the market manager. We're really going to rely on you to help us put that content in. But on our side of the house, as we travel the state, when we're going out and doing our photography and videography shoots at producers, we're doing our best to actually make stops at all of the markets as well, personally introduce ourselves to the market managers, and then capture some photography that the markets are able to use as free digital assets, as well as ones that we'll put on our page. As we scroll down, which you can't see right now, on the left-hand side, we want this year to also, oh yeah, I guess it's over there. We want to also include, after visit website and view locations, we would like to list all the vendors that are a part. And we know that that's a massive undertaking, but we feel like it's so important to be able to showcase them in whatever way we can as a statewide resource. So annually, I guess that will be a part of our new outreach efforts, is trying to determine all of those. And some of you guys do such a fantastic job of listing them on your websites. So we will link to those websites as well. And then any of the vendors who are an Idaho preferred member who are a part of our program, we will hot link over to their member directory pages as well, just to help tell the consumers their story too. Did I miss anything, Dawn? No? Okay. All right, Idaho Farmers Market Week. So we do develop the proclamation for Idaho Farmers Market Week, and then we do take a significant amount of time to curate a major promotional campaign. I'm going to play this, or Dawn will play this video, and then I can go over some stats. Actually, I'll try to do it so quick on the results of last year's efforts.
It's Idaho Farmers Market Week, and Idaho Preferred can help you celebrate. Thanks to Idaho's ag community, direct access to fresh produce, meat, dairy, and eggs has never been easier. To find the market nearest you, head to the Idaho Preferred website. Select farmers markets, your region, and explore over 50 markets throughout the state. And if you're one of the first 50 people to visit your local market, you may also snag a farmers market tote and button. It's time to hit the markets.
So we ran a marketing campaign that resulted in 486,000 plus impressions on that video alone, and it aided in generating an additional 14,000 clicks to that search engine. So just in that way alone, we really hope that we're helping bring consumers to those markets, placing great emphasis during that time frame. This next year, we'll redo this video. We'll run our campaign again, and then our effort will be focused on, it'll again link to that, but we will also try to leverage some other marketing opportunities. We'll probably do a collab video with Commerce Visit Idaho, just to really help spread the word as much as possible. And then I guess another great opportunity is we would like to do more collaborations with our farmers markets during Farmers Market Week. We try so hard, like I said, to go out to the farmers market and actively get content, but we would like to see if you guys could send us content that we can help do collaboration posts on. We're even willing to edit it and put it all together just to try to simplify it for you all.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I just noticed I was unmuted. And are you still able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to add in there as well, Erica, I know that the video mentioned that part of Farmers Market Week, it's a big campaign promotion that we do every year during the week of Farmers Market. You did mention that we initiate the governor's proclamation for Idaho Farmers Market Week. In addition to that, we help promote our farmers markets by providing them with shopping totes and buttons, just some great swag, and coordinate all of that with all of our marketing efforts. And did you mention that we had a total reach of 500,000 across our social media last year for Farmers Market Week?
No.
And
I
that was targeted within the state of Idaho. So
And that's
anyway,
separate
it's
from the
huge.
paid. That's separate from the paid campaign
Correct,
that we
correct.
did. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, and I guess with the buttons and the bags, it's also so great for us to get feedback from you guys on, we get the requests for them, but we kind of want to know how you guys are utilizing them too. We hear from some markets that they hand them out as an incentive for like the first 50 people who show up at the market. But if there's other ways or other types of product that would be helpful, we just need that feedback so that we can help provide resources.
Yeah. So in the past, we've had people provide photographs of themselves using these, showing how they use their bags. It's so much easier to do this now on social media. So for Farmers Market Week, we will create certain hashtags and be in contact with our market managers in order to coordinate all of that messaging. And I just wanted to say, I know that we're coming up on our time limits here, but I just wanted to say that farmers markets, it's really just one pillar, one part of the pillars of our program. We've really created, Eric and I have worked really hard to create a pretty robust system that works in tandem with each pillar systematically to promote our producers throughout the entire state of Idaho. And so when this works, when we all work together, this works beautifully to promote Idaho agriculture. And so it's really about getting connected and utilizing us for the services that we have to help promote your markets.
Is there more, Dawn? Are we going to go?
No, go ahead, Erica. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Do we have the Market Week kit on here? Oh, okay, so here's the social media aspect of it. This is really just highlighting overall efforts, and then our newsletter and email. So that just kind of goes over the additional ways that we can help communicate. So if you guys, have events that you've coordinated, let us know. We'll put it on our community calendar. We'll get it in our newsletters as well. Just additional ways we can provide communication resources.
Yeah, and you had asked about the marketing kit. Here's just a quick glance at what we've put together to help managers download graphics for their social media content, and different ideas for promoting yourself and your vendors.
So it's a little twofold. It's like social media strategy stuff that we put in there. We also try to just create captions just to get the ball rolling, get you guys inspired so you guys can repurpose them in the way that you like. We also have the Canva templates in there so you guys can take those templates and modify them so that they work for you. Just trying to do what we can to help encourage some digital marketing efforts as well.
And that's it. So seriously, though, like I said, we are here to help support farmers markets throughout the state of Idaho. Farmers markets are complimentary members of Idaho Preferred, and that membership affords you so many benefits in terms of marketing and promotion for your markets, for your special events, and for your vendors. So if you need anything, just give us a call. Just contact us.
Actually, one more thing. This is a question I get quite often, just in our general inquiries. If you're looking to identify potential vendors, right? Or maybe maybe you've got a mobile market and you're looking to start, to onboard more vendors. We are also here to be a resource for that and helping you guys get connected with new vendor opportunities too.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks, Dawn and Erica. I love, Erica, that last bit that you said, because I am on Idaho Preferred's newsletter list, and I'm constantly looking at opportunities for our vendors, especially ones that are looking to level up to kind of go the next step, or that really fit within the mission of Idaho Preferred, and find those opportunities for them. And pro tip for all of our market managers, that's a great way to retain vendors, is when you are looking out for them, right? Is when you're finding those opportunities, especially if they're like a new and up and coming business and they're ready to launch off from your farmers market, and your farmers market helped incubate them. I don't want to go on any more tangents because we're turning it over to Katie. and we're staying on schedule, which is really important. So Katie, without further ado, please go ahead and take it away.
All right, now everybody can see my screen, hopefully, and hear me, so that's all good. So Fair Idaho is a nonprofit trade association that represents basically the local food system. So FAIR is an acronym. It stands for Food, Agriculture, Restaurants, and Establishments. And I put in here our mission and purpose, but I'll kind of talk, I prefer to almost talk than read, but about how we started. Fair Idaho was born out of the pandemic. It was a lot of independent restaurants and beverage establishments that got together and realized at that point that they weren't sure how they were going to navigate in a pandemic and how they were going to operate their businesses or if they were going to lose their businesses. So we decided to build a trade association that represented independent food and beverage businesses, but we decided to do it differently than I think most other trade associations, in that we're uniquely structured in that we represent farms, ranches, producers. So that could be like a winery all the way to a salsa maker, livestock processors, independent restaurants, bars, and retailers. So as I mentioned before, that's really your farmers markets, your independent grocers, like the co-ops are members of Fair Idaho. And so I'll kind of get into what we do. So what we do is we advocate on behalf of our members. And this really ranges the gamut. There's never a dull day, especially when we're in session. But we advocate on behalf of our members. We now have a lobbyist, Mr. Roger Batt, who's very familiar with agriculture. That's actually where he typically works. And then we partner with other organizations like the Independent Restaurant Coalition. I'm on the leadership team of that organization, and Regenerate America. So we typically partner on a national level, really, with other organizations so that we can have a seat at the table on like the Farm Bill, Farm Worker Modernization Act, and we can have those larger scale meetings. But on a state level, we have our lobbyist, and then we also have a very active board, and our board is really comprised of farmers, restaurant owners, essentially all the sectors that we represent as an organization. So we, it could be working to talk to our county commissioners in preserving farmland in Canyon County. Livestock processing is a big push for Fair Idaho in terms of trying to find resolve for ranchers that are really having a hard time with finding processors. And so it seems like about 90% of our conversations in Farm and Ag are talking about that. But we also talk about my background is working for a food cooperative for 8 years and representing 90 small producers across Idaho. It's really looking at like, how can we strengthen our food system? In fact, it seems like I have multiple conversations or ideas that come up every week. So that's sort of our focus, I think, going into the next few years. We were awarded the USDA Local Foods Promotion Grant. That was an awesome opportunity to host classes on Learn the Art of Butchery, where we traveled the state and we put those video resources up on our website. I looked today, Amanda, you'd appreciate this, but when we did with Vandal Meats, University of Idaho, that video in particular got 15,000 views. And so Dr. Phil Bass is famous now. I need to let him know. But that's the approach. We have a multi-pronged approach when we actually try to tackle a problem. So our members come to us with their problems, and it's like livestock processing, for example. How can we, really encourage people to take these classes, to realize how cool this field is, because there's a huge workforce issue or lack of workforce in this area. And how can we help small producers? So it's a multi-pronged approach when we do our advocacy efforts. And so growth, we launched in really March of 2020 was when the pandemic hit, was when this brainchild came about. And then in August of 2020, we launched our membership. It has 315 members. We have about 320 members now that are part of Fair Idaho. So we're grown really quickly, which helps us in terms of our advocacy efforts, because when you're calling one of your senators and you mention the number of members, it helps, right? We have that collective voice to really create that positive change within the industry. But it also helps us in terms of membership benefits. So some of the things that we're working on is we launched a healthcare plan for our FAIR members. We actually have 2 nurse practitioners here in the Treasure Valley. We're a statewide organization, so our intention is to get more nurse practitioners around the state as we get more people added to this nice healthcare program. But the nurse practitioners actually come for $28 a month. They come to, let's say, an employee's house with 2 sick kids. They treat the whole family at once for that $28 per month. There's no additional charges. Includes 550 prescriptions, x-rays. It really is one of our best benefits ever. So, and our goal is to not have telehealth throughout the rest of the state outside the Treasure Valley, but really how can we grow that so that everybody can get that income in home care. And then I'll skip to the last one, which is we officially last week, we started negotiating to lower health and dental insurance premiums for all of our members. Again, that's our collective voice. We can work. You think about like a small farmer or an independent restaurant owner, they're not going to have to be able to collectively bargain in the way that we are as a trade association, right? So we can go in and start negotiating for dental insurance, life insurance, health insurance to really save our employers money and get those benefits for the people that need it most. We do free consultations on employee retention tax credit eligibility. This has been huge. I just talked to a farmer this week that is getting thousands of dollars back from the IRS. And we have free form filing for farmers, ranchers, and processors. And definitely farmers markets as well. We have a course coming up. I think it's maybe March 8th. I didn't write down the date, but that's just a half-hour presentation. But I just really implore, I know I've talked to Amanda about this when I was in Moscow, but really implore people to reach out to us about this. We want to make sure we get more money back in people's pockets that need it the most. And so just some of the highlights, we are awarded a specialty crop grant, and we launched an online ordering platform. As I mentioned, we're trying to tackle this problem. Like, people really want to get local food, but they don't know where to even start sourcing locally. So outside of our farmers markets, right, in that off season or throughout the rest of the week, a lot of our retailers, our restaurants, or chefs, they actually want to source local, but they don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to go search it out. And farmers just really want to farm, right? So we launched an online ordering platform where financial transactions are direct from the producer to the buyer. And then it just you can check out of 10 farms all at once, and it notifies you of the delivery days of when that producer will be dropping off the product. So we're very excited about this. And as we think about our organization and really sort of, I know there's other groups out there that maybe just represent farms or just represent restaurants, but what I have found the benefit of treating it as a food system is that we can accomplish more as a collective. And we think through like, what's the first way to tackle and help producers be financially successful. It's really like get them to increase their sales and help make their lives a lot easier. So that's our goal. And that's just the first sort of iteration of how do we tackle this problem. And so that's what we're working on. And then we have newsletter updates. Just wanted to mention that with an average rate of open rate of about 40% with probably 2,400 subscribers. So that's kind of neat. It gives us a 2-week snapshot of what we're doing here at FAIR. So we get to update our members. I put here, we featured 25 stories of FAIR Idaho members, but it's probably been more than that. That's probably one of the more rewarding things, because our goal is we really want people to know their farmers markets. They're the humans behind our food system, our farmers, our ranchers, our restaurant owners in the hopes that they like want to source more local product, that they want to stop by a new restaurant. Because I think I mentioned that, you know, in the past that I heard a really sad statistic that only 10% of people know really the people that produce their food. And our goal is like, how can we build that connection? Because I think through that connection, we actually strengthen the food system, right? Because when you know those people, you want to go source from them. So these are just some of the pictures from our Learn the Art of Butchery series where we traveled the state. This was super cool. Every single class was different. You know, it was really interesting in the like Sun Valley Culinary Institute where we had Larry that's been a butcher for 40 years. He was just really concerned about what's going to happen in terms of the lack of workforce and what processors are facing. And so I think it's a good idea for us within our organization and the membership that we represent is really tell those stories and bring an awareness to some of the issues that are facing agriculture and the processors. So here's what I mentioned earlier, that Field to Fork exchange. We're getting ready to hit the road and really help spread the word about this. This will be statewide. And right now we're signing on people in the Treasure Valley. Next month, we'll be heading to Twin Falls and then, you know, across the rest of the state. Since we're a statewide organization, we spend a lot of time on the road, which is super cool. One thing that I didn't mention is we had our a big event this last year. I know some of the people on this call were actually at our event. We were so excited. We weren't sure how it was going to go, right? Because it was a first year event. We were nervous. But it went far better than expected. We held the Field to Fork Festival. We really wanted to celebrate Idaho food and beverage and bring everybody together under one roof so that they could build those connections in person. And so we took over the Jump building. We had over 650 attendees, even though it was a total awful snow day that morning, freeways closed, etc. But they still prevailed and made it. So we did a lot of networking. So we had a trade fair, but we did chef-led classes and panel discussions. And I remember a really large distributor came up to me after and he said, Katie, how did you get standing room only in your panel discussions? And they were all centered around the food system. And I thought, you know, people really care about this and we need to be talking about this, right? So that was super exciting. We decided that we had to pretty much make this an annual event just based on the reception. So we've got the Jump building on January 18th of 2024. We did a celebration party and invited our representatives. We had 25 legislators show up. But our real intention was like, we need to build these connections and sometimes it's just not possible unless you're in person. So that was exciting. So here's just some of the fun pictures of the day. So what are we doing in 2023, 2024? Really just our organization is committed to building a more resilient food system. We understand that farmers markets are really just so critical to this food system. And you think about helping smaller producers become more successful. It's like, it all starts with farmers markets. Our belief is always that we're stronger together. So we work with our food and beverage community and industry partners to really make that happen. And really tell the stories, like I mentioned, of Idaho businesses, farmers markets, farmers. We want people to understand the who, what, when, where, why of their food system. How do we connect Idaho producers with Idaho retailers? I think that's such a big focus for FAIR. It will be every year. This isn't just 2023. We're working on some pretty large grant opportunities. Fingers crossed, you never know with grants how that'll go, but that will address how do we build a more resilient food system here in Idaho? And then our advocacy efforts will always be about, Idaho agriculture, protecting farmland, livestock processing, and really anything that comes up for our members. We had probably 10 members come forward with legitimate issues this year that we can work on addressing. and building that change. And it's not always just legislation. It's like, how can we use our collective force to make this change and maybe find a solution? And then in terms of relief, it's really like every business really struggled. And how do you adapt after the pandemic aftershocks? And so that's kind of what we're thinking about in terms of like membership benefits. What can we do to help make the lives of the employers that are a part of FAIR easier? How can we make them more successful and survive what there's still, there's a lot of burnout that's happening, and I was really kind of alarmed by that when I traveled the state, everywhere from farms to restaurants, independent restaurants. A lot of people are pretty burnt out. So how can we help make their lives easier? And then really just build bridges, be a force for good. I think, it's through our collective effort and these other organizations that are doing similar work to FAIR, that have really made FAIR what it is today. And so I think we're all about really trying to build that community, because that's what helps us get to that positive change. So thank you, everyone. I think that's it.
Thanks, Katie. I do just, in case people are wondering how does this all connect to me as a market manager, if we have meat producers who are trying to come to our farmers markets and we're trying to retain them as vendors at our farmers markets, and they are saying, gosh, I really want to come, but I can't get into this facility, whether that's because that USDA processing facility has limited hours, they have limited workforce, or they're trying to cater to several different producers and they don't have the schedule to get people in, that can affect retention of getting folks to market, right? And so if we're just trying to like kind of bring this all together and try and understand how does the workforce affect my farmers market, that has nothing to do with me, it's all connected. And so I think that's something that I just wanted, Katie kind of highlighted it with like that butchery part, where if we don't have skilled workforce, our meat vendors who have to be USDA processed in order to sell at a farmer's market will not be able to come to market, or they'll only be able to come during certain limited days, or they're saying I can come these days and you're saying I can't get you in on those days. So when we understand that bigger background picture, it can help us really advocate for our vendors and work with our board, especially if like there are strict guidelines in place when it comes to your farmers market, to say, are these guidelines serving my vendors and are they serving the things that they need? So I just wanted to kind of tie that back around, but we are coming up on our break. Yeah, Katie, go ahead.
I just want to say there's a few things, I remember stepping into this role and we were advocating for restaurants from the get-go because they were really struggling. And a farmer said to me, Katie, because I was so stressed, we were spending so much time on restaurants. And he said, Katie, if they're not doing well, we're not doing well because they are buying from us. And that's what it really became clear to me. Like, we don't treat it oftentimes like a system, and it really is. And there's strength in treating it like a system, because then we can all look out for one another, and really, fight the good fight. And so I think, at first I was like, gosh, well, we represent all these different sectors. What are we doing? Then I was like, man, this makes more sense than just having it be just restaurants, or, because then there's just that collective effort and they're all sourcing from one another, or hopefully sourcing from one another.
Yeah, Mel, I will get to you, but this is a time for Q&A for Erin and Dawn and Katie. So just if you've had questions, things have popped up, you've had your aha moments or want to explore more, this would be the time. But Mel, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add to all of that. So I attended the Field to Fork event that Katie put on, and I was in the meat processor panel discussion. And after it was all done, we sat and chatted. Truly, Katie, I could have used another 2 hours. But I was at a table with just a general public consumer person. I was at a table with a marketing person and one And then me and my friends, we were both producers. And we were also together with a new producer that was even just thinking about getting into what we do. So it was amazing to bring everything together. And then it was also amazing because I was bringing it from a farmer's market point of view, plus a producer's point of view. So what we do is super important when, like Katie said, if we can bring it all together and make it a food system. I could start from the time that animal was born to the time that it got to a consumer. And it was amazing how open eyes got when that whole process was poured out. So thank you, Katie, for that opportunity. It was amazing. But I wanted to share that with you guys as a market manager, that we have an indelible role into teaching everybody how that food gets to that market.
Yeah, and I would say, like, we all, right, if you have farmers market in your market title or market, right, it is about generally, it's usually centered around that fresh food. And so it's really important for us to understand what our vendors are going through, what the needs are. And I tell all of my vendors this: craft and prepared food will carry our market through the shoulder season, but people come to our market to buy agricultural fresh products, to fill their fridge, to fill their pantry. And so it is really important that we're advocating and looking out for those types of vendors in addition to our craft and prepared and processed food vendors. But again, I want to open this up for any questions for Aaron, Katie, and Dawn from our folks that are on the call today, whether you're on the IFMA board or you're here in a market manager wearing two hats, it doesn't matter. But anyone, Jen, Mary, Annie, any questions?
I actually have a question, Katie, because I think your point of sale system just sounds fantastic, but I need a little more insight. In terms of, like, you said that the producers deliver to the restaurants. I guess how is that distribution really being managed? Because I know from our restaurant side of the house and the people we work with, it's always echoed that they have such a hard time getting product from so many different producers, and then having those producers have to bring that product in. I mean, it's such a time crunch on the producer as well. So how are you mitigating that?
Yeah. As I mentioned, it's our first iteration of tackling this problem. We're not going to tackle it overnight. I know this because of Idaho's bounty and what happened there. So how do we address, what are the issues? The issues are ordering, right? The issues are aggregation and distribution, storage, right? And I'm sure you all have additional other ideas. Those are real basic, right? So our way of tackling this is, number one, what we are hearing is farmers are like, I'm sick of sending 4 fresh sheets to 10 different restaurants 3 times a week, and then I have to track my own inventory. So what this system does is that it is for producers that self-distribute. But it allows the farmer to track their inventory, track their sales. They get pick sheets. They know where they have to deliver. The financial transactions are direct then to the buyer, right? We stay out of that portion of it, but the buyer can then check out of 10 to 20 different farms all at once. Now, this is like not going to tackle it all, but that also includes trucks, warehouses to, address the issues that you mentioned. And that's what I was kind of mentioning with the other grants that we've been asked to apply for, which are really exciting because, I think we're doing good work with FAIR because people are now approaching us and saying, we really need to think about this. And we hope that FAIR can help with this. And so, but that takes, millions of dollars.
Yeah, we might have some dual efforts going on. I even think one of them we might be in partnership with you guys and UFI on for some of those grant efforts. So I was just curious because we haven't had a conversation. I hadn't, in the time that I've heard you speak about it, we haven't really talked about that component yet. But I think it's a really great system in being able to connect everybody. And then is it predominantly for the restaurants that you have in your membership base that you've onboarded into the system, and then those restaurants then buy from the producers you've onboarded into that system?
Not necessarily. It ranges the gamut, you know. There's a space for everybody. They don't necessarily have to be a fair member. Kind of even with our employee retention tax credit, we help everybody. It's our community service in a way that we can give back. But yeah.
I guess what I'm more directly asking is who has access to that? Is it like an e-commerce platform that people can click on and see all the producers and then they can like make a direct purchase right there? Or do they have to be onboarded into that system to be able to make that purchase?
Onboarded.
Got it.
The onboarding is like, 5 minutes. So.
Okay. And so it's predominantly the restaurants that you onboard though, that ideally would be purchasing from those producers.
Yeah.
Right
or
now.
retailers.
Right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's cool. Good to know.
Okay, so
I have a question, Katie. Real
yeah,
quick.
go ahead, Melissa.
For Katie. So I've been kind of looking into that. Do you help the small guy? Do you have like a cooperation of several small farms that kind of help, fill in orders per restaurants? I mean, what's your smallest farm, I guess, that
We have micro farms. So we're unique in that we really represent small farms, ranches, really the little guys, no matter what sector we represent. I don't know if you'd call the Boise Co-op necessarily a little person, little guy, but most of our farms are small. And typically all of our fair members sell within the state. So that's how we're unique. They don't typically export right outside of the state. So we sort of specialize in small. Yeah. And then I just want to mention, I forgot, there's $10,000 grants available. We partnered with a foundation and they're for farmers and ranchers that want to do water improvements. It is a 20-minute application, and I forgot to mention that, and that's kind of huge. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
So just a couple of things, right? You have, if you're a market that's like, I don't have a lot of time or resources, like this is exactly the kind of connection we want to make for you. I think Erin and Don really hit it on the head earlier. They will help you if you like, especially during that promotion of National Farmers Market Week, you can send them content if you're trying to highlight your market. It's a complimentary membership. And then on top of being an IFMA member, you also get to join Fair Idaho at a special membership rate. And so what does this mean? It means that you're staying connected, you're staying networked, you are finding opportunities not only for your market, but for your vendors as well. So that was kind of the purpose of highlighting these two organizations, and Katie and Don are also board advisors. And so it's just providing us a larger lens to look at the state of Idaho again, and how farmers markets are the role that we play within the state, within these other industries as well. But I know we had someone new join us. Geraldine looks like they're on here, but any questions from Annie or Jen or Mary, anything that has been unclear during this time, or further questions for Erica, Dawn, or Katie? Go ahead, Mary. Yeah.
I always have questions. It's on the preferred website with you mentioned about our farmers market updating, like putting the vendors out there or whatever. Is this something that we can go out there and do, or do we tell you what we want put out there?
Mary, that's an excellent question. We are currently in the process of overhauling our website, and we've gone through certain phases of web redevelopment and redesign over the past couple of years. So right now we are so close to launching the member portal, which will give you access to make changes and updates. But in the meantime, until that is actually rolled out, feel free to email myself or Erica with your changes. We will be reaching out and seeking that information as well. So during open market season, typically through the summertime, Erica and I travel throughout the state we do, in addition to the farmers markets, we connect with farmers all over the state, and we have a huge initiative to tell farmer stories as well. So we go out and we do the videography and photography and create these stories to help tell farmer stories. And we tack onto that the farmers market visits and meetings with farmers market managers, et cetera, et cetera. So during that time, we kind of get a sense of who the vendors are, and connect with you as a manager. And anyway, as we start to roll all of that out, we will give you the opportunity to self-serve, I guess, on the member portal side of things. That's as a member, you'll have that exclusive access to the back end in order to do that.
And then also, just going to throw this in there, on the member portal, which is really more of a connection portal for our supporting organization community, we have launched and are going to continue to grow digital marketing. We have a digital marketing lab. We're rolling out 24 classes, and these are all just learning opportunities for in your own time. You can sit and watch like a 5-minute, we try to make them bite-sized so it's digestible, like a 5-minute video on maybe email funneling, right? How to switch over to different drag and drop builders. So if you're like looking to change that, if maybe you just were like, I do not understand this one social media platform, or I do not understand an Instagram reel and even what that's all about. We're putting courses in there for all of our members to be able to access and just learn a learning space. If there's courses that you guys want developed, let us know, because that's also, like I said, going to continue to grow.
Yeah. So many great benefits will be rolling out soon.
Wonderful. Ariel, go ahead, and then we're going to break here right after Ariel's thing. So keep your questions in mind if we didn't get to them.
So I have a question. I have been seeing all the amazing work that Idaho Preferred has been doing for their member producers and retailers. And I'm wondering, I know that the farmers markets do not buy a membership, right? You guys made it possible that all farmer markets are members of Idaho Preferred, you know, without having to apply. But some of those stories, the photographs, the video, all that, do you have the capacity to be doing that for some of our markets, especially the ones that have, you know, absolutely zero marketing dollars because they're all volunteer run and they're super tiny? What's the plan for that, and what could be available to markets, and how would they get it?
In terms of the digital assets that are being put together, yes. So as those are taken, we've been putting them onto the market's websites, but we also disseminate the photos. So Dawn, for the farmers market, she will actively go out and give everybody Dropbox links or whatever, however, Google Drive links, however you prefer to receive that information. And then we hope that that becomes an open line of communication. We can continue to utilize that Dropbox or that Google Drive to be able to transfer you know, more content between us. So if, like I said, if you guys, maybe you have an event coming up and you're like, oh, we need help, you know, putting a little thing together, here's some content, can you put together a reel? Cool, drop it in that box for us. That way we can access it and like quickly put together something. And then we can collaborate on those videos. When we collaborate on those videos, we're able to reshare that content in our stories, and then we can tag. Goodness, I'm sure you guys all know how much it takes to just sit and tag people in your local communities. We also go through the effort of trying to identify different press opportunities, media opportunities that we can be able to further leverage the community events that are happening. You know, sometimes it's just informing them. So we just try to hit it all at once when we do our marketing efforts.
Right.
But in terms of like coming out to a market and getting a baseline, getting those photographs and videos at that market, I think that's what I'm asking about too. Like if they don't have the capacity to have stuff to send you to put together a reel.
Yes. So
yeah, let us know.
As we travel the state, you know, we'll give everybody a heads up. We're going to say, hey, we're going to be in this region, or we're going to be over in this part of the state. Sometimes Dawn's in an area and then I'm in an area and then we flip flop, you know, and so we try to, because the different days of the week, right? Some markets are middle of the week, and that can be easy for us in terms of our workday. But if you're on a weekend, you know, we have got to come out during a time where we wouldn't normally be working as a state department, right? So we really try to coordinate the efforts through the entire market season. You know, we can't just only focus on Idaho farmers market. week, that's great. We want to have that content if we can prior to, but we also know it's still the growing season. So it's going to take us a while. And if we coordinate those efforts while we're traveling and doing our producer visits, it becomes so much more seamless. If there's a market out there and they're particularly stressed about being able to gather that content, reach out to us. We do have partners in the area too that we can reach out to and see if we can send somebody to help gather some of that.
Absolutely. And I think that was another thing that, one of my big goals in attending today, in addition to all of this, is to connect and, meet the people. It's really vital that we have those connections with our market managers so that if things like this come up, we can address it right on, head on. So yeah, if there's a need, just let us know, reach out. Earlier I was disconnected. I did drop our links in email contact information in the chat and I don't see it in there now. So I'm hopeful.
I think it got in there, Dawn.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing I wanted to toss this out.
Hey, Erica, I know you're probably really excited. I want to keep us on schedule though.
Okay.
We are already we were doing so well and now we're 5 minutes behind.
Okay.
So if that could be put into the chat, that would be great. I do want to give everyone time to get a break. We will please be back at your screens at, what is everyone's time? Mostly everyone's on Mountain Time, so 12:05 we will get started. But please get up, move around. We've all been sitting for a bit. This screen time is pretty intensive during these calls. And I will see everyone here at 12:05, or if you're in Pacific time, 11:05. All right, thanks everyone. Enjoy your little break.
Hey, Erica, can you hear me?
Yes, this is Katie.
I just turned off my camera and muted.
Sure.
This actually, what you brought up is great for us to chat about when we meet in March, when I get back from vacation. Yeah, because that's the kind of stuff I'm like, I just want to check in with you all just to see how we can work together. And then also how we can support each other's efforts and, because I also kind of get in the weeds and sometimes I need to catch up with what y'all are doing. So.
Oh, no, I fully agree. It's just as we've had more opportunities to kind of be in the community together, I'm like, golly, I don't fully understand the depth and breadth of some of the things you're rolling out. And I'm sure you feel likewise on our end. So it would be so great. And I'm excited for our meeting to be able to go into the weeds on some of it. Because, I've said this before, I'd rather marry our partners up and figure out how we can be stronger.
Totally. Yeah. That's what I kind of realized when we were at Harvest and Hearth. I'm like, I need to pay attention more, but sometimes I just get behind and then, it's best to just meet in person and then figure out what are we working on this next year? How can we help each other? So,
yeah, no, our goals are all really very the same, so it's just, how can we strengthen and support our local food system together, I think is a much better way forward.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Awesome. Okay. See you in a minute.
See you in a minute. Okay, thanks. Bye.
I went into
Hold on,
that.
hold on, hold on.
It's good to see you, Denise.
You too. How are you?
Good. I wasn't sure with Christina here if you were going to be presenting or not. So I was just like, well, maybe something
Oh,
came up. So
no.
okay.
I'll do it. She's just getting started. So
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Great. Well, it's great to have you on.
nice to see you guys too.
Yeah.
It's always great to see you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Katie.
I heard your voice and I was like, I gotta say hi too.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
I've been following you. You're a busy lady.
Yeah. I'm a little tired, but we're doing good work. So
You are doing great work. Great
thank
work.
you. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Denise, we were staying ahead of schedule and then we just got bumped by 5 minutes. So we're gonna start at 12:05.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay.
told everyone to be back at their screens promptly.
That sounds good. That sounds good. How's the morning gone?
Great, I think, like
Good.
hopefully we're learning more and
Yep.
can't wait to share out the recording with folks who couldn't make it here today. So
Right. Yeah, that's great. That is great.
Hi, Denise.
Hi, Ariel. How are you?
I'm good. Are you all set with your slides?
If you could bring them up, that'd be great. They look fine to me.
Okay. So I will play them and then you can just tell me, or if you pause, I'll just advance them.
Okay.
Okay.
I think before we start that is everyone, I can't tell if everyone's back or not, but it would be great to know how many of you, I don't recognize some of the names, how many new markets we have and how many returning markets we have.
I think we have all returning markets.
Okay.
Jen with the Weiser Farmers Market is on this call. Annie with the Boise Farmers Market, Mary with Emmett, and then I'm looking at my screen. Mel Gallup with the Gooding Farmers Market, Melissa with Kuski, and then Andrea with Red Top. I don't know, Geraldine joined a little bit into the call, so I'm not sure what market they're affiliated with. And then me with the Moscow Market.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Geraldine, she's Napa, right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see, how many markets don't have SNAP right now?
Maybe we'll have them put that in the chat. I do know though that Jen and Annie and Geraldine may all be new this year. And so that might impact their terminal and their FNS number. So it's something to make sure that we talk about. And if they have any questions, maybe they can put that in the chat. Maybe if this is your first year being the official market manager of record, maybe put that in the chat. And then if you have a SNAP terminal or not, it would help us too.
Yeah, Geraldine from Napa, she's not new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
she's
it's your third year. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, but she's been around.
Good.
Yeah, so, maybe just drop into if your market accepts SNAP right now.
And Jen, you're absolutely right. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Jen, I knew that Jim retired, so welcome. And Geraldine, of course, they take SNAP. Great. Okay.
And I think I talked to Annie last week or earlier this week about checking into the status since those terminals belonged to another manager. Yep.
So since everyone's back, we're going to go ahead and get started. And so we have Denise Dixon here with the Idaho Hunger Relief Task Force. She's the executive director, and she so graciously does contract work for the IFMA in regards of the SNAP EBT and Double Up Food Bucks realm. So this is sort of like a refresh and recap. It's always good to go over these things. Sometimes stuff changes. You know, we're getting into a new season. We need to dust off our terminals literally sometimes. And so I'm going to turn it over to Denise and let her work her magic. And then as people have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. There will be time for Q&A with Denise, and we'll go back and refer to those questions.
And actually, Denise, I have a new feature on my Zoom where I was just able to hand the slide to you. So see if you can advance it and if this actually works.
Okay.
Probably either with the arrows on the screen.
Okay.
If
Oh,
you
I see.
bounce around.
Over there on the left side. Okay, let me see. Oh, look at that. Look at how fancy you are.
You have the power.
Okay. Well, I just want to welcome you all, and I want to keep this very informal. Please ask your questions. I'm not real sure where everybody's at with this, but most of you are returning, and so that's really great. So we're going to talk about SNAP and Double Up. Let's see. SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, has been around for years. It's our #1 way to fight hunger in America. We offer nutritional assistance to millions of eligible low-income families and provide economic benefit to our communities and our markets, our farmers. Farmers markets, they can apply and be approved to accept food stamps in the form of payment for eligible items. Why participate? Lots of reasons. Becoming a food stamp friendly market allows you to increase your customer base. It allows you to increase revenue to your farmers, which goes back into your local economy. Yeah, so the farmers market, the Idaho Farmers Market Association works to ensure that Idahoans of all income levels have access to local healthy foods. And as we know, the farmers market is normally the freshest produce that you can get. So if you want to be a food stamp friendly market, we can help you navigate that process. We can help you apply if you have questions. We can help you get your terminal set up, purchase tokens, those type of things, and really give you a hands-on, one-on-one, deep dive into the different terminals. I just have to say that I ran a local rural farmers market for years, and the terminals are very user-friendly. So keep that in mind. It just you start it out and it walks you through it. So don't be afraid of that. Double Up Food Bucks. Double Up Food Bucks is a match to the SNAP benefit for strictly fresh fruits and vegetables. This will double the food dollar, but it also expands as our SNAP folks have limited amount of money. It can really help stretch the family budget with the Double Up Food Bucks. Normally, if a market has SNAP in Idaho, we also try to make sure that they have Double Up Food Bucks too as a benefit. So that's super helpful. This is a card. It's a 5x7 card that distributes in English and in Spanish. It tells you what's eligible for EBT, which is also Quest, and Double Up. So this is super helpful. You'll have these at your market, usually at the market manager's table. And what you can do is hand these out. If you have a first-time market goer, you'll want to hand this out to them so that they can see what they can buy and what they can't buy. We currently have SNAP and Double Up promotional materials for member markets, vendors, and customers. We also have limited grant funds to help fund the Double Up Food Bucks. But the one thing is you need to be a member. Just keep that in mind. You have to be a member to get the Double Up Food Bucks. So And it's also important to seek backup funding options for your market. You know, we have a set number of dollars. We apply for grants for you for these double up dollars. But as we grow, as our markets grow, it's really important that some of the larger markets look for backup funding. Okay, so preparing to be a SNAP and double up food bucks market, you want to create a vendor agreement, and there are some templates which are really easy to use. You can change the name, and so you can change the name to meet your needs, that type of thing. And so those are some great examples. You'll purchase tokens for your market. We do have a grant right now, and it's running out. So if you are looking to become a food stamp friendly market, it's super important that you get going on that, because this grant ends in June. And so I know that there's talk going on about continuing a similar grant, but this can save you somewhere probably in the amount of $300 to $500 for your market. So if you need to get started, we're happy to help. If you need additional tokens for your market, also reach out. We can help you with getting additional SNAP and double up food buck tokens as well. Let's see here. Okay, helping customers access SNAP and double up. It's important to establish like a market table, market manager table, something that identifies a place to go for them to swipe their cards, collect their tokens, and have you answer questions and give information to them on what is eligible and what is not. Signage is super important, and the IFMA has signage available for you. And so it becomes like a hub. It becomes a hub for customers to go to with questions or to swipe their cards. So it's important that it's user friendly, and you have plenty of people there to help. Program requirements. So there is a customer record sheet, and this helps the market manager to manage her customers with the SNAP and the double up. It is information that you will need to refer back to when you are putting your numbers in the portal to reconcile, because what happens is with SNAP is it is deposited, the money that the participant spends is deposited into your checking account for the market. And so it's important that you can reconcile that. You can use the log sheet. It just makes it a lot easier to track. So those also, Ariel can get those for you. Here it is. And this is a really great, I have used this. This is what you can use to keep track of everything, the day of the market, and then you will put those in the portal. If you're not familiar with the portal, we can sure help you get set up with that. Or if the season comes around and you're like, oh, I can't remember my password, reach out. We can help you with that as well, because that happens. So feel free to reach out with any questions. When you run your transactions, the recipient will put in their PIN, and then they will receive a receipt. At the end of the market day, then a receipt will come to you of all your transactions. And what I did was I stapled that to my log sheet. So everything was together, and then I would have that. You can manage that however you would like. And here is the double up redemption. This is super helpful too. How will you reimburse your vendors? As a market manager, it's really your decision about how you want to proceed with this process. There are one or two ways you can do it. The easiest way I found to make it happen when I was a market manager is at the end of the market day, a vendor will come to the market manager's table, fill out a receipt, and then you reimburse them on the spot. I was a very small market, and so that was doable. Now, some of your larger markets, and Amanda can share how she handles that. You may want to do a check at the end of the month. You may want to do something like that, because that is a lot more money. a lot more money to be handling, and normally they don't have, I'm sure, that type of cash. So, you know, it's really up to your market. If you're a 501c3, you might want to run that by your board and have the board decide how they want to manage that. But you want to make sure it's regular and it's accurate. Okay, here's an example of a vendor receipt. You know, the biggest thing is that the vendor signature is on there and how much you reimburse them. So just keep track of all this. It's super important. And again, it helps so much at the end of the day, the end of the week, when you're trying to balance out everything. Okay, so however you choose to reimburse them, the vendor needs to complete a receipt of some type of sort so you can reconcile, and that is very important. So that's great. So reporting your SNAP and Double Up food bucks, this is what I was talking about, the database, excuse me, or the portal. It's super simple. You can go in and we will provide you with a login and a password, and it's by week. It's by week, and you just go in off of your reconciled information. You just go in, enter your numbers, and push submit. It's great if you can keep that up every week. Every week is the best way to do it. If you have to do it once a month, that's okay too, but it's just really important that those get in there. What we do with those is, you know, people are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to report this. Don't be concerned. What this is this is something that is monitored by the Fair Food Network. They're not looking at Sally Joe spent so much dollars, or Boise Farmers Market had, you know, so many dollars in sales through SNAP. What they do is they take that information, and this way they can take the amount of farmers markets SNAP money and for every state, and then that helps them to get the new farm bill passed. So keep that in mind. It's for no other reason than collecting data, and there's no data on your patients, on your participants. Oops, sorry. Sorry about the dog. How else can we increase access to healthy foods at the markets? There is a senior market program. This is a community-led task force. I started this when I was still with the Farmers Market Association in Caldwell, and it's still going strong. They're in their third year, and this senior market bucks program is going strong. Their city is even contributing to the pot to pay this out, and this has really helped our seniors. Really helped our seniors during the pandemic, even afterwards, to make ends meet and to get them healthier foods. We also included eggs too, as well. So yeah, and here you go. This gives you an idea about what's happening in terms of you know, the amount of money that is spent. I've talked with several of the farmers at the Caldwell Farmers Market. They're extremely appreciative of this program to increase their revenue. So this is a great way. As a market manager, you could introduce something like this in your market. I know that the Nampa Farmers Market dabbled in it with their winter farmers market, but I don't know if that's continuing. Geraldine could help us with that. But this is something you could also start. We have a lot of the information on best practices that can help you. Funding wise, you would have to go out and find your own funding for this program, but very much worth it. Oh, good. Geraldine says she's trying to start that up again this year. Okay, food is medicine and the RX for Fresh Fruits and Vegetable program. Actually, the person we'd love to should be talking about this is Christina. This RX program is something that she has taken to the next level, and she has done an amazing job. Christina, do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Sure. This is super exciting. I didn't, I didn't know I'd get to talk about this today. Thank you. So the Idaho Hunger Relief Task Force runs a program called the RX for Fresh Fruits and Vegetables, Prescription for Fresh Fruits and Vegetables. And we've been running this program since 2017. We partner with health clinics. Right now, mostly in the Treasure Valley, although we just launched a partnership in the Magic Valley as well. So we partner with those health clinics so that they can screen for food insecurity and their patients. And if a patient screens positive for food insecurity and is also experiencing a diet-related chronic disease, particularly diabetes and prediabetes, then they're eligible to participate in our program. So we provide them with 6 months of fresh fruits and vegetables. In the Magic Valley right now, we're piloting a debit card. So it's a national organization that has contracts with retailers, but they can also connect with farmers markets. So that's what we are extremely excited about, is moving essentially from a voucher program to the debit card, and then really starting to kick off our partnership with farmers markets across the state, so that people can take their debit cards and purchase fresh fruits and vegetables at those local markets. So what the task force is really responsible, this kind of shows what the process has been like over the past couple of years. As you can see, the clinics administer a food insecurity screening, a screener, and then they do an HbA1c test that helps to understand where their A1C levels are at the baseline. The task force completes a pre-program survey and asks a number of questions about their dietary intake at the very beginning of the program. And then the participants will receive their debit card, get kicked off into basically going out and shopping for fresh fruits and vegetables. And then at the end of the program, at the end of 6 months, then we do another survey to see if there's been any change in their dietary intakes and any improvement in their health status. And we do a post-program A1C to see what the changes are. So we just completed our year-end report for 2022, and just consistently year over year, we've seen really positive results, decreases of A1C levels in the range of about 14%, which is just about a point overall from, I guess, if you're familiar with A1C levels. Really high redemption rates for this model, and kind of nationally we see around 70% redemption rates. Our program experiences very high redemption rates, typically around 80%. This was, if you see on the screen, this was from a third-party health evaluation that we did in 2019 across 60 participants. So you can kind of see the positive impact that the program has on our participants' health. And one thing that I would note is that this isn't just a program for only the patient. We provide enough funding for the other household members. So we were looking at the age range of the household members last year, and it's from an infant into 92 years of age, which is really exciting for us. We supported 7 languages last year, which was a dramatic increase from the previous year where we just had English and Spanish. So a lot of really wonderful movement here in the RX program, and we're very excited to bring it to farmers markets over the next year. I see some questions. Let's see, the funding comes mostly private funding right now. We have partnerships with Department of Health and Welfare, Cliff Bar Foundation, you know, a number of foundations, but we are actually seeking a grant from the USDA this year. We'll be applying in May and hope to receive $500,000 for to support the expansion of the program. Geraldine, are you? Yeah,
Christina, we can wait for questions at the end. I just want to make sure we give enough time for everyone.
Sounds great.
But thank you. That was my question you answered.
Yes, our next steps are, we're looking at probably the second quarter of trying to bring the debit card into the Valley, Treasure Valley. Right now, we are piloting it in the Magic Valley to learn more about it. And then we will also have this in our proposal in the GusNIP grant. It's a GusNIP grant specifically for fresh fruits and vegetables. I think we have an awesome application. I'm really proud of our team. And so fingers crossed. So sorry. Let's see, eSmart Idaho advisors at the market. Okay, and WIC at the farmers markets is a new possibility. I actually just had a call with Leah Salas about this opportunity. We are writing a grant right now in conjunction with WIC. And we were talking about including this in one of our initiatives, but due to the quick turnaround time of this grant application, we can't include this, but it is something we're talking about. And I have some information I sent on to Christina. Mobile markets are great to accept SNAP. Boise Farmers Market has one. And other ideas for pilot programs. You know, there's always more. I think the National Conference on Nutrition was a great way to jumpstart funding for this type of thing. And I think that we'll see more and more funding available for many areas, from children to seniors. So let's see, what else do we got? Oh, end of slides. Okay.
Denise, thank you, and Christina. The Veggie RX program sounds amazing, and I would love to get that up here north. I think this is a great time, if you have questions, to be dropping them into the chat, and I'll help moderate those. Mary is asking, how is a farmer or vendor reimbursed and the market reimbursed for these programs? Denise, if you want to maybe take that question.
Sure. The market, the vendors, if we're talking about the senior produce program, the vendors are reimbursed each day, each market day, at the end of the day, just like they are for their SNAP. So this is how Caldwell handles it. At the end of the day, they reimburse their vendors for the SNAP program, the senior program. And I think if WIC was put into place in the farmers markets, that would follow the same procedure, because the biggest hang up WIC has is that they don't want to have to certify each vendor. So my proposal to them is that we certify every market, not the vendor. So that would happen the same way that SNAP does, the same way the senior program goes. The RX for Veggie program, they will have a debit card. So I'm thinking that that can go directly through the farmer or the vendor. But that's something that we're still working on, and we are still fine-tuning that. But definitely making sure our number one priority in all of these programs is to get our vendors and our farmers more money. So.
Mary, I know you had a second part of the question, is how is the market reimbursed for these programs? And generally the market, it isn't necessarily reimbursed, but there is funding through the IFMA to essentially pass through your market. So the Emmett Farmers Market can say, hey, we need about $200 to help with our matching program or whatever. And then, you know, you're in good standing with us, you're a current member, you've done all your reporting, and we can say, great, we can give that to the Emmett Farmers Market. So that money essentially can pass right through you. So it's not necessarily a reimbursement program per se, but there are some grant opportunities available. Any other questions from folks or clarifications that are needed for Mary, I see you're unmuted. Did you have further follow-up?
I do. So, okay, so with the debit card that a person would have, say I have farmers who don't take debit cards, you know, so would it be like where they would come to the market manager and we would run their card and give them like tokens to go use, or how? I mean, are there rules, different rules, like with the SNAP program? With those other,
those are still things we're working out. It is still in the process of us figuring that out, Mary, for the RX program and how that would work. Having that as a option is definitely something we can look at. So that's not in stone yet. So we'll work through that and do what's best for our farmers.
and then with that too, then would we, like if we had both, say SNAP and the senior program or something, is that reported separately? We need to keep, you know, track of those separately. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you know, you could have one receipt for the senior program and one receipt for SNAP and double up, or you could put them all on one receipt by just adding a couple of lines, and because you'll be reimbursing them for all three.
So we have some more questions. Melissa wants to know if you have to be a nonprofit market to accept SNAP or double up food bucks.
No, not at all.
Great. But you do have to apply through the USDA, right, Denise? And they have different, if you're like a LLC business, nonprofit, government agency. Okay.
Right.
Great. And then Ariel asked if anyone has Eat Smart Idaho coming to your market. I know that we partner with Eat Smart Idaho. That position has seen some turnover over the years. Anyone else on this call work with their local extension office? You can just maybe give a little hand wave, or it's a great resource. You know, basically they'll handle all of the demo stuff. I mean, you could provide them a space essentially. Generally, they have tents and tables available at their disposal. It looks like Dawn had to leave, and she dropped a plethora of information in the chat. So make sure we will save the chat recording and pass that off to everyone. So if you're not getting things, don't worry. We will get everything out to you after the call. Any other questions for Denise? I wanted to, the two options that Denise talked about with vendor payout, we've done both at the Moscow market, and I think what I've heard from vendors is that they want their cash money that day. they can't eat wooden tokens.
Yeah.
So if you have the capability to pay out your vendors at the end of a day, I think that is highly preferential. If you know you have so much just coming in, cashing in, you could develop like a check system, or at least say, hey, we're taking in this amount of money. I'm signing it, acknowledging it. You're signing it as a vendor, acknowledging it. And then it's a receipt for them to show up. So that way, if you are paying them the following week and they are counting their money and they say, hey, you shorted me, or hey, it was overpaid, you know, they have at least some sort of paper receipt in the interim until they get that money, or a check. We've done it both ways. We contract with a local nonprofit actually to manage our SNAP program, and I'm not sure if they're doing cash payouts or if it's a certain threshold. If it goes over like $50, they then cut a check. So that's just something to talk with your vendors about and talk about with your board too. You want to make your vendors happy with this and make it easy for them. So
definitely.
Yeah. All right. I know we have a variety of size markets on the call. So is there anything that isn't being addressed for your particular size market, or things that, you know, you're saying this is great information, but I don't know how to do this at my market size? Because I would love to make sure that we're kind of addressing everyone's needs on the call.
And just remember too, that this is a lot of information in a short period of time. But when we walk you through this, through the IFMA, it's really step work. And it's not as cumbersome as it sounds. You know, you do your application and then you wait and wait. And then you get approved. And then, you know, we order tokens. And so it's really, really step work. And it's not as overwhelming as it might sound.
Well, great. I think if there's nothing else, I know we're just slightly behind schedule. We'll move on to Ariel with the specialty crop block grant funding. And again, if people like have further follow-up questions, we will get like Denise's and Christina's and everyone's contact info out after the call. So Ariel, without further ado.
Yeah, if anybody needs to stand up and stretch, turn around, whatever, do it. Oh, it feels good. I've been sitting a long time. And I don't think, in fact, I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to take much time. I want to get us back on having your day back. Okay, can you see this screen? Great. I am so glad to see all of you here, and I am so glad to be a part of IFMA, and I have something really exciting to share. And those of you that are on this call today are going to be the first ones to hear about it. So we're planting that seed in all of your market manager brains ahead of season so you can be thinking about this. So I want to talk to you about the 2022 through 2024 Specialty Crop Block Grant. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get through it even the first time. I'll probably just call it the Veggie Grant, possibly. It's hard to get that out. So I'm going to talk about what that means for IFMA member markets and for especially your specialty crop vendors at your market. So in fall of 2022, IFMA applied for and was awarded a specialty crop block grant from the Idaho State Department of Agriculture. This is a USDA grant that is passed through at the state level, and then the state has review committees that select the applicants from their pool. Now this year there were two pools of money, and that's I think part of the reason that we got one. In the past, we have not been successful in getting one of these, but this year there was another pot of funding that was in response to COVID. And so we talked about the disruption that markets faced early on in the pandemic and how while most markets have really bounced back in terms of their numbers and their participation, there are some lasting effects from that. And that's kind of what we used to get this funding. However, the funding is really, the activities are not COVID related moving forward, as you'll see. So what is a specialty crop, right? There is some confusion about this. And so a large number of your vendors at your markets count as a specialty crop producer or vendor. They are defined by USDA as fruits, vegetables, tree nuts, either in or out of shell, dried fruits, horticulture, so that would be cut flowers, nursery crops, and honey. So all of these things are called specialty crops. So any of your vendors who are growing these are a potential kind of target for this funding. And what do these grants fund? Well, they fund projects that aim to enhance the production and competitiveness of Idaho specialty crops in a number of different markets. Now, the reason I think that a lot of times farmers market has not been successful in getting one of these grants is potatoes, wine grapes, right? These are also considered specialty crops, and those industries are pretty big in the state and they get a lot of money. But I'm really excited for the opportunity to show what we can do with farmers markets in terms of specialty crop promotion, and possibly we'll start getting one every year too if we do a good job with this grant. So we had 4 major objectives with the funding that we went after. One was to increase the marketing and promotion of specialty crops at farmers markets in Idaho. 2 was to expand the availability and access to specialty crops at farmers markets for all, all customers, for all Idahoans. 3rd, increase the child and adult nutrition knowledge and consumption of specialty crops at farmers markets. And I will say that those first 3 are pretty much standard across the board. They want you to do those things if you get one of these grants. And then number 4, this is kind of a special one for us, is we wanted to increase the capacity for our farmers markets to be able to respond to risks and market disruptions that impact our specialty crop producers. And so that was the tie-in to the COVID grant, is that, you know, a lot of markets don't have emergency contingency plans. You know, there were a lot of people left scrambling, like, how do we deal with the fact that we can't open in 2 days? So this really is going to hopefully help with some of that. So what will we do? Well, our real goal is to increase the resiliency of our Idaho farmers markets and enhance those opportunities for increased sales of specialty crops. We want to do one-on-one mentoring. We want to create some training on recruiting and retaining our specialty crop vendors. And that will go for all vendors, but for the purposes of the grants, you know, we're going to use very specific language. But really, we're looking at growing and retaining all your vendors, right? We want to go into some emergency preparedness planning and risk management training for markets so that you've got a plan, you've got some backup. Maybe you've got a way to access online sales the way the Boise Farmers Market did when all of a sudden they couldn't have an in-person market. And this really isn't about just planning for, you know, will there be a next pandemic? This is really about, what if wildfire, impacts you? What if some other kind of natural disaster or anything else comes up where you need to have a backup plan? And so that's really what this part will be about. And what that's going to look like is that most likely it's going to be IFMA hosted webinars, possibly with guest speakers who are experts in this, or markets that have done a fantastic job of doing this and are willing to share. So we will have these trainings over this year and next year and into early 2024 for attracting and retaining specialty crop producers, assessing your risks that might face your market, and planning for these risks and other emergency disruptions. And I'm going to give you a little bit of time, hopefully at the end here, to share what some of those things might look like for you in your part of the state and your market. So something else that we're going to be, extreme heat, right? Some markets, it's so hot for our vendors and our customers. Another thing we requested funds to do is we will have a pool of money that IFMA member markets will have access to use for advertising to promote Idaho specialty crops, increase that access and consumption of products that are produced and available at markets statewide. So what that might look like, that is going to be up to you. Let's see, I think I talked about it a little bit. Yeah, so you can use these advertising dollars you just have to really, we're going to get a kind of a format set for how you would apply for this, but it could be traditional print or radio advertising, signage, social media, however you're going to increase the visibility that you are there, that you have specialty crops available, and to promote those products, those vendors, and your market at the same time, with the idea that increasing that visibility and that promotion is going to increase traffic, which is going to lead to higher sales. And we just know it's a chicken and an egg, right? If your veggie vendors and your specialty crop vendors are not making sales, they're not going to come back. If your farmers come and your customers come and there aren't the vendors that they expect, they're going to stop coming. So it's in everybody's best interest to really increase this. So the other thing we want to do is help increase the access, potentially encouraging and bringing in more low-income customers that may think that farmers market is not for them or outside of their reach. We do have funding through Idaho Health and Welfare to help you with general SNAP and double up access, promotions, etc. But there is going to be a little bit of this grant that's going to be available to help you too. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is we are University of Idaho Extension, which is my other hat, right? I'm wearing two hats today. We are just about to publish this really lovely little book. I can't really call it a cookbook because none of the recipes are cooked. It's all fresh prep recipes using in-season fruits and vegetables and herbs that can be available at markets around the state. We are about to publish this, and we will make these available to all of our markets to hand out for free along when people come up and redeem their SNAP or get some tokens from you. It'll just be an incentive and hopefully help people to to eat more of these products. These recipes were developed by our Eat Smart advisors, and they have been tested out at the Boise Farmers Market and the Boise Mobile Farmers Market, and people love them. And they're super easy recipes. Like I said, there's no cooking involved, and they're delicious. So we'll be making that available to all of you. So the next steps, we were a little bit behind the ball because we just now got the funding, and we do need to bring on an independent contractor to work with us to help get some of that work done. I don't know if Amanda mentioned the board of IFMA is completely volunteer. We have no paid staff, which is why sometimes we're a little bit slow getting back to you or responding. But we have contracted with Christina to help with the SNAP double up side of things. And we are actively looking for an independent contractor to work on this marketing, advertising, and to help manage the mini grants. So if you know anybody who might be a good skill set fit for this work, it's 10 hours a week through the grant cycle. And we can send you that application if you're interested. And they'll also be helping us a little bit in planning and presenting those trainings, though that will be a lot of responsibility of the board and the advisors to do that also. So some of the next steps also, we will be notifying all of our member markets when those advertising funds are available for request. Now we're going to do probably half of them this year and half of them next year. So if you are thinking, gosh, I could really use this year, start thinking about what you would do. And we're talking probably in the neighborhood of probably no more than like $1,200 to $2,000 per market for this. So be thinking, the sky's definitely not the limit. There is a limit, but there's a lot that you can do creatively with that kind of money for your market. As soon as our Market Fresh in a Snap cookbook is, or not cookbook, cookless book is available, we will be sending those out to our Snap markets. So be watching for those too. They should be done by the start of market season. And we might visit with you about how many you think you want, and if that's a pain in the rear for you to distribute, or if you've got a mechanism for getting those to folks. We might also help to connect you with Eat Smart advisors in your area who could maybe distribute the books for you if that's just too much. So in the last little bit, I would love to turn it back over to you. You've all been so quiet and good and listening today. I'd really like to hear from you. I've got a few questions here. So the first one, though, is what are your market's biggest challenges right now, you feel, to attracting and maintaining those specialty crop producers? And again, that's fresh fruits, vegetables, nursery crops, cut flowers, honey, and dried fruits and nuts. So let me know. Space. Yeah, you can only add so many vendors, right? What about the rest of you? I know. Yeah, go ahead.
Ariel, sorry. So I was just thinking back to, last year, the weather, and we had a heck of a time with produce, the vendors coming and having their produce. It was just bad. So every year is different, every year is different. And it was a big deal because people would come and there would be no produce available or very little. And then of course you always have the people that come at the end of the market, and the produce was there, but it's all gone now. So they're the ones that are like, oh, there's no produce at the market, and then they don't come back.
So was that the heat? Was that affecting the heat? Was affecting the produce at market, but also affecting the growers, and they weren't having as high of yields?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's really, and that actually is that could address this, but it also could address that other, the planning, and what to do in those cases. Wonderful. So I hear, I see also weather, just attracting and having consistent right? Yeah. And so consistency, Melissa, maybe you can tell me consistency of product, consistency of attendance.
Kind of like what Mary was saying, you know, one week you have all the veggies and then people come back the next week and there's nobody there, you know. So trying to get them, because some of them do the Grangeville market or Fino market, and then there's, you know, nothing left for us or whatever, that sort of thing. So, you know, I don't know if it's our issue or if it's the producer's issue, but just maybe, yeah, I don't know. But we run into that too.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you and from Mel too, and from Mary, is that maybe we need to focus at least one training for the growers themselves to help them troubleshoot some of these things and find out why, you know, why these keep happening for them and what would help them, because then it's going to help you, right? There's only so much you can do. You can't be there in the field with them or in their planning session about how much they're going to purchase and plant, right? I like it.
Exactly. And then with the honey, I only have one honey vendor, and last year, well, the year before, he ended up not even selling at all. He didn't have any honey to bring. And then last year he came, but it was later in the season. He didn't start at the beginning.
Okay.
And then he didn't have very much. Just the bees just weren't producing, he said. So I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, crop failure, right? Colony collapse, all of those things would definitely affect their supply. And then, you know, and things like that are so popular to your customers, right? They want fresh vegetables, they want honey. That to them, that's farmers market, right? Even if they end up coming and they spend all of their money on donuts, they think in their mind that they're coming for fresh produce and honey and, you know, ag products. So those are good points. Really good. Anything else that you can think of? All right, well, if you do, let me know, right? Okay, so next question would be, and this, you know, some of these things might be similar, but what kinds of emergency situations or, you know, or market changing events could be something that you would want help planning for and having emergency planning or a backup plan in case of?
Amanda, I think yours is wind.
Yeah.
I constantly monitor the weather for my market, and I think there's some windier sections of our market that I just don't know how to mitigate. But yeah, I don't know what to do with that one. It desiccates the produce in some of those areas, especially like I want anchor vendors and like all types of anchor vendors in certain zones of my market, and some of my produce vendors don't like being in a particular area because it gets so windy.
Yeah. Has anyone had to close or postpone or move? What about gosh, I know Geraldine, I don't know if this was probably before you were the manager, but you know, being told that your location, and I know that this affects other markets on this call too, you know, your location is not going to be available next year. What do you do with that, right? Or what if you're told your location is not available next month and you're all set to open?
We will be experiencing that in Moscow. Our main street will be under construction likely next year at the earliest, and I have no idea what that's going to look like at all.
Yeah. These are great. Okay. Yeah. All right. And again, if you think of more things, let me know. I'm happy to keep seeking these answers before we develop trainings. So the last one I wanted to know from you too, because this is going to help us with, both of the grants that we can support you with. What would encourage greater SNAP participation at your market? Do you have any idea? Do you hear from customers what the barriers are? You spend a lot of time and energy to be set up for SNAP. And if people aren't using it, what do you think are the reasons for that?
So I'm hoping that your non-cookbook is going to help with that, because what I think happens is, I don't mean to be critical, but they don't want to cook. They don't want to use it. They don't want to do it. It's easier to go buy frozen stuff out of the grocery store. And I think it's just knowledge. Maybe they don't know how to cook. Maybe they don't know how to use the tomatoes or whatever, fresh produce. Maybe they don't know what to do with it. I don't know. But I think maybe that little cookbook or non-cookbook might help with that. And then the other question I had was a couple of years ago, everybody in Idaho that gets food stamps, you guys sent out the flyers in the mail. So they got those, that we hand out at the tables or something. Everybody in the whole state got those. I know it was a big process to get that going. I was just wondering if they're still getting that information in there. They can use.
Yeah. We weren't able to do it last year because Health and Welfare didn't have the capacity. We approached them. We did send out about 2,500 in food boxes from the food bank, but I know what you're talking about. And that's something we will follow up with Health and Welfare again this year to find out if they have the capacity to do that. And what she's saying is that everyone who was on SNAP received in the mail a flyer showing where they could use their benefits at market. And that was a huge process, but we will be sending the brochures and the flyers out to all the health and welfare offices. So people that go to re-up or to sign up for SNAP are going to get that information. So these are all good, really good, good points. And there's certain kinds of products that are really good sort of gateway products into shopping at market. And I would say the same is true of mobile market, fruit, berries, cherry tomatoes, sugar snap peas, right? Things that are really familiar, that don't need to be, like peeled and chopped up. It's not a butternut squash. That can sometimes be intimidating, especially for a young family or someone who's never cooked. So I like this a lot. Well, we can certainly help right away with the signage, the advertising, all of that. I really need to just make like an order form, or you can just send me an email that I need these materials and I can tell you what we have. We can get you a full vinyl banner. We can get you a sandwich board with posters on each side. And then we have stacks and stacks of those, the postcards and the flyers and brochures. So and if you've got another idea of like, this is how people notice, or this is what they notice, we'd be happy to work on some new designs and get those out to you. We also did some radio advertising last year, and I don't know if that drew more or not. It's kind of hard to track that, Do
you have any materials for vendors to have at their booths advertising that they accept either SNAP tokens or double up food bucks?
We certainly could, like really just like more for the vendor, like ask me what products or like these products are available or we accept. I think it's removing that stigma too, that they're welcome. And it's, it's just another form of money to the grower. I like that idea. Okay. Thank you, Christina. Okay. So signage for vendors beyond just signage for the market. Okay. These are wonderful ideas. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Andrea, we can certainly get you some. And since you're, kind of a place bound, we could get you some great signage, you know, things that could be on display all the time. And I saw your guys' signage is insane. If you're on your way to her market, there's no way you're not going to pull over, because you start seeing signs like miles before, right? It was great. I was like, I have to stop. There's no way I can avoid it. It's right here. Yeah, and Mel, you know, yeah, while the double up match is only good for fresh fruits and vegetables, they absolutely can use SNAP benefits for meat. Yeah. And eggs, and yeah, and even breads and things like that.
I found that if I can get them in for the meat and the milk and the eggs, then they'll go explore the vegetables, because then I'm like, oh, well, do you know about double up food bucks? And they're like, well, no. And but it's amazing how many people decline them too. Drives me crazy.
Yeah. I know we can't make anybody eat healthy, right? Well, I love this. Anything else you want to share with me?
Ariel, I thank you so much. I'm really excited for the board to continue to work on this. One thing that I'm hearing from folks, and just some things that come to mind, you know, as we're preparing for this upcoming season and hopefully beyond, even if we can't implement things this year, but things to, you know, push out to our volunteers or our board members or any vendors that are helping with the market. You know, customer counts, if you can tell your vendors, like on average, this is how many customers that we see come through our market. I think it's like Ariel said, it's a chicken before the egg situation. You have to have the customers show up, but then the vendors have to be consistent enough to know that the customers need to know where to find them. So if a vendor shows up, doesn't make any sales, they might just peace out after one market. But it really is a commitment on the vendor's part as much as a commitment on the customer's part. And that's what I have found through our vendors is, you know, space consistency, location, you know, and making sure that vendors understand that, like, there's going to be some bad sales days, but if you keep showing up, it's the same. It's like, you know, face recognition, this face at the market in the same location. What I'm hearing potentially we might be able to offer, and that's maybe a discussion for the board and Ariel, is maybe for a vendor in their first year or who is kind of skeptical about making sales, is maybe our mini grants can offer scholarships where, you know, you can provide essentially a free season to a potentially new vendor.
I think I did mention that in the grant, but I just wanted to be careful because I know some markets might be like, people are going to throw a fit about that. But
yeah, definitely assess it with your market.
It's a way to incentivize, right?
We've talked about it with the Moscow Farmers Market for vendors that are either low resource vendors or in their first year where they get moved around the market. Can we offer some sort of scholarship program? So, you know, if people kind of pitch a fit, make sure you have sound reasoning behind why you're offering it to specific vendors. But I want to just thank everyone for taking the time to be on the call. I know we are just running over schedule by a couple of minutes. But we're not over scheduled by 30, which is always exciting. But we will make sure to send this recording out to everyone. If you have further follow-up or thoughts, please do feel free to reach out. Like Ariel said, we're all kind of working managers and we're trying to figure out how we can best respond in the most timely manner. If you have things that are coming up on social media and you're a member market and you want us to share those things, like, please reach out and let us know. You know, the algorithms aren't always our friend when it comes to social media. But yeah, I just thank you everyone for taking the time, and hopefully you walked away with a few inklings of new ideas, or, you know, like Ariel said, we planted a seed for something that, you know, you can just continue to think about, and don't feel like you have to do it all in this upcoming season. You know, let it kind of percolate in the brain and maybe come back around to it in the off season. So without further ado, we'll kind of say goodbye and thanks everyone, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Amanda. You did a great job today. It's good to see all the board members and then all of our managers too.
Yeah, it's great to see some different farmers markets on here too. So
yeah, awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Have a good weekend.